So listen, how's your Christmas shopping going? You haven't started yet, have you? Well, fear not, the big interview is here to help solve all your problems. For the football fans in your life, here's 3 stocking fillers. Firstly, the documentary film of my book, Barca, The Making of the Greatest Team in the World, is now available everywhere on DVD and digital download. Take the Ball, Pass the Ball is the definitive story, we like to say, of the greatest football team ever assembled, and features exclusive interviews with Barca's stellar cast of current and ex-players, including that geezer Lionel Messi, Xavi, Andres Iniesta, Thierry Henry, Dani Alves, Gerard Piqué, Carlos Puyol and Sergio Busquets, plus a rare exclusive contribution from Pep Guardiola himself. There, that's that one present sorted. Secondly, my old chum and fellow dandy Jonathan Northcroft has a new book out, published by Backpage. These marvellous people that bring you the books, the podcasts. It's called Deadlines and Darts with Delhi, and it's Jonathan's World Cup diary from Russia last summer, and it's essential reading for the football fan in your life. Finally, check out another Backpage book, Football 2.0, How the World's Best Play the Modern Game by Grant Wall. Through extensive interviews with one player in every key position on and off the pitch, Grant breaks down the technical and tactical revolutions which have transformed football. So, there you have it. Take the Ball, Pass the Ball, Deadlines and Darts with Delhi, Football 2.0. That's not only difficult to say, it's Christmas sorted. Courtesy of your friends at the big interview. You're ho, 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 welcome. And now for something completely different. An interview I conducted with the mighty Thierry Henry. It wasn't originally as part of the big interview, but instead as part of the filming of Take the Ball, Pass the Ball. That's the documentary that Zoom Sport, Duncan McMath and I have made about Pep Guardiola's Barca team between 2008 and 2012. It's out right now via Universal Pictures, and we've included this extended interview, only small parts of which are in the movie, just to give you a feel for Thierry Henry's excitement and exuberance about the Guardiola style of play and what it cost him to adapt to it. Universal and Zoom naturally have said, if you fancy buying the movie for Christmas on DVD or downloading it on iTunes, great, do so. But in the meantime, enjoy this. It isn't the usual big interview stuff, but a deeper dive, as the trend is to call it now. It tells you something about what it was like to be part of a team which, the further away we get, I guess many of us think played the greatest football ever. Enjoy this.
My first impression of Pep Guardiola was very good. Why is that? I'm going to tell you. As soon as he knew that he was going to take the team, people knew towards the end, End of the season, people were already talking about him. It wasn't announced yet. And he wanted to meet me. So we met. So first and foremost, already there, I'm like, okay, he's ahead of the game. Because I didn't go on holiday thinking, am I going to stay? Am I not going to stay? Am I going to be in his plan or not? What is it? You don't know. So I met him, and one thing that came out of it is that he wanted me to be in his team. Not a lot of people at the time thought about that one in Barcelona, for the reason that people wanted a change, and I was part of the people that they wanted out. It's a fact. It's true. I'm not against that. Although I think, on the personal point of view, I didn't have a bad season at Barcelona, but when you play for a club like that, it's not enough. You always have to reach the impossible. That's Pep. He said, Thierry, what do you want to do? And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know. What do you... He said, no, I want to know if you want to stay. And I was like, typical. I was like, that depends of, what you want to do. What's the plan? He said, no, I want to know if you want to stay. Once I told him, yes, I want to stay, he said, okay, I want you in my team. Very important. He wanted to know if I wanted to stay. Although he had already something in his mind, but he wanted to know if I also wanted to be part of what he had. And we clicked on that, we started to speak, and I always remember, he said to me, you're going to be up against it. Because to turn what people think in Barcelona about a player, and how it is sometimes, to turn the crowd around, it's not easy, especially at Barcelona. But he said, I will do everything to make sure that that is going to be possible. And I said, okay, I don't mind a challenge. And, the rest is history.
You're in a beautiful position because clearly this new coach respects you, wants you, and has an idea how you'll play tactically. But the thunderstorm is happening elsewhere because he stands up in his first press conference and says, Ronaldinho out, Eto'o out.
Deco.
That was shocking.
Deco
too.
I was shocked, yeah. I was. We're talking about Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o, and Deco. Obviously, only he knew what he wanted to do. Only he had a view of what he wanted to do. We all know what happened. Ronnie left, obviously, Deco left, but Big Sam stayed. And I think for me that whatever the problem that they had with each other, I don't know, in all fairness, because I never saw it like that. But I'm happy that Sam stayed because Sam was more than a big part of what happened before, and then also in Pep's era.
He always said, when you were at Arsenal, Thierry's my friend, if he comes here it'll be special, I'm not thinking of the competition. You helped him, I think, acclimatise to the new thing, the style of playing, the biggest goal total of his career. I think you had a perfect understanding, football-wise, and off the pitch.
Sam is I always end up defending Sam sometimes with people. I don't know what view that they have of him. I can tell you he's one of the best teammates that I played with. You ask Samuel Eto'o, you have to play centre-back, he'll do it for the team. You ask him to play goalkeeper, he'll do it for the team. People used to try to read him outside of the field. I didn't go that far. For me, I knew he was going to die for his team, and that was the most important thing. And we had an understanding. Whenever I was making a run inside, he was always staying for me, and vice versa. So, we were switching a bit less on that side, but there we were kind of, we like you said, we did have an understanding. But very important that Sam stayed. And I think, and I'm sure you remember throughout the whole summer and preparation, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? And I think that was vital for the treble, amongst all the stuff that happens. But vital.
You mentioned the summer. We spoke to several players, including Abidal, who said, I was leaving. I went to Laporta. I wasn't being spoken to like that by Pep. Now, you were lucky because he'd already told you that you were chosen one. You were staying. It was important to him. But there was a brusqueness about Pep.
Pep it's not everyone's cup of tea, But I really admire the boss because he's direct at times. And if you're not prepared to take it on board, it might be difficult. Yes, I agree with that one. And yes, to go back to Abi, I remember a couple of training sessions where he literally had to scream at him. And not only him, but everybody, to understand what was at stake and what he wanted from every single players. And Abi didn't have that. Abi came from Lyon, where he had another way of playing. And because of Pep, now if you fast forward, look at the Abidal that arrived, and look at the Abidal 3 years after. Crosses, putting the ball on his chest, putting the ball down, passing it out. Before he would have cleared it straight away. He wouldn't have been that composed in the last third of the field. So yes, difficult to take, but if you understand it, take it on board, then you can have what Abidal had staying even longer than me at Barcelona.
You reminded me a little bit of Henrik Larsson in that you were the king of your team, as he was at Celtic. You make a run, the ball goes to Thierry. The system wasn't like that under Pep. To what degree did you have to reset, relearn?
Every single games, because I had a certain way of playing. Like you said, at Arsenal, when I used to drop, ball comes, I go in behind, ball comes, and sometimes wrongly so. It is where it is, but you do attract the ball when you reach a certain level. It's like when we were in trouble, it didn't happen often, but when we were in trouble, we used to look at Leo. and Sam, maybe that year me, but usually where's Leo? I remember we played a game away from home. I think it was Donetsk. We were losing and Leo just scored 2 goals. I don't know how, but I mean, we've seen it after. We've seen it, whatever. That's how it is. But it was more the style of play that I had to adapt to. Staying on the line to make sure that you can free Andres, because it was most of the time Andres playing there. If you come too early, he cannot express himself, so you need to be there, create confusion with the right back. So stay in your position, make the run behind, knowing that 9 times or 8 times out of 10, you will not get that ball. But if you don't make the run, Andres doesn't get the ball. Like he should get it, a bit freer, if I can say. So you need to understand that sometimes you need to, sacrifice what you like to do for the good of the team. And when Pep used to explain it to us, and then after we used to go on the field and see that it works, at the end of the game, or at the end of the day, we were clever enough to understand that we're all going to win. And that's the most important thing. There were some patterns of play that we needed to respect. And yes, sometimes in big games, if I remember well, some balls that maybe I never used to get, but in big games, guys were clever enough to understand that they had to make those passes. My second goal away at Madrid, when Xavi doesn't usually play that pass that early, but he did. So you play with guys also that understand what they need to do at the time that they need to do it. Very important.
You mentioned Andres, he's joining you in this film, and he told us that in those first couple of weeks, Numancia, defeat, Racing Santander, draw, which is just before the Donetsk game, losing 2-1. He goes to Pep to say, we're with you. We love training. It's going to be all right. See you, boss. Was there a little bit were there worries that the start wasn't as good as the pre-season training?
Listen, you're talking about that, but I don't know if you remember. When we played Numancia, away from home, I got hammered. I don't think we on the counter, we considered the goal, and we had a couple of, we were on them. Then I also don't know if you remember, I was in the stand against Santander, out of the squad. People have a short memory. I was in the stand. And we drew 1-1. I think Goody scored half foot volley with his left foot out of nowhere, by the way. And we could have lost 2 games straight away. We lost also the return leg in the Champions League. We should have won that game, but we won 4-0 at home. But anyway, so it wasn't that great right from the start. And people think that Pep had an easy start at Barcelona. He didn't have an easy start. He had to deal with stuff that were difficult to deal with. You mentioned it before. Name that he mentioned, the guy that he said, I don't want them there anymore. Not a lot of managers would have done that at his age. And even so, experienced manager would have maybe thought about it, but he said it. Press conference. Then, like I said to you, he had to deal with trying to put me back on track. Deal with the team wasn't yet playing well. So yeah, it didn't look like we were going to do a treble that season. Far from it.
By winter, I saw what I think is the most powerful 4-game run I've ever witnessed. You were central to it. They called it Liguilla, Tourmalet. It was Sevilla, Valencia, Real Madrid, Villarreal. 11-1 on aggregate. Just the most scintillating, merciless football ever. Describe that feeling.
It is great. Listen, I say it every single time to my friends. When the ref was blowing the whistle, I used to look at I said, already, I didn't want the game to end. I was like, I'm enjoying this. It's the first time I played in a team where I enjoyed putting pressure. Because as a striker, sometimes it's a burden. You're like, you do it because you know you have to do it, and that's the way it is. No, I enjoyed putting pressure because we knew what we had to do. We knew what was happening. Everyone knew distances were not far, so I enjoyed putting pressure. I could have run, and I don't think I was in. I said once, at Barcelona, I don't know if I had run like that before in my life. Not in a bad way. I'm just saying because the togetherness was really high, and because we knew what we had to do, and because the distances were close, they were short, sharp distances. So you can do that the whole game. When it becomes difficult to put pressure is when you have a 20-yard run, 20-yard back, 30 back. Then when it's 5 or 10, you can do that the whole game.
The pressure yielded you a lovely assist to Messi in the 2-0 victory in the Clásico at home. But by spring, it just went off the scale. I'm going to ask you two particular games. One you must have suffered in, because the Stamford Bridge game, if I'm right, you weren't there.
No, so I was, but I wasn't on the field.
Watching.
Yeah.
That must have been hell.
Yeah, knowing that I never, personally, on personal point of view, sorry, I never won the Champions League. We were, I think there is one game that we can say that we were lucky. It was that game. But people always tend to remember the return leg. They never remember the first leg. That was a penalty on me. People always, and it's true, let's all be honest, we were fortunate at Stamford Bridge. I'm not going to hide behind the fact. People, you have cameras, you can see what happened. We were fortunate. But people don't remember that they were fortunate at our place. Yes, Didier missed a 1v1 with Victor Valdez also. Let's not forget that one. But they were fortunate at our place. But people always remember the return leg. So there I was watching it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose it. What a goal, by the way, from Chelsea. So, the year before, what a goal from Paul Scholes. Although it came from a mistake from Zambrotta, but what a goal. And then what a goal. I'm like, really, come on. And then little Andres arrived to save the day. Him there, maybe not the guy that you wanted there, but he went in.
He doesn't score many, but they tend to be quite good. 6-2, Thierry, 6-2. Is that the most complete game that you've played in? You were vital in terms of passing, pressing, goals, your role that you assumed in it. First of all, how did Pep explain that match to you all tactically? Do you remember the build-up? Do you remember the surprise of where Leo was?
That's when that fake 9 whole thing started. That's why I think that Pep remembered, because when you say something to Pep, it stays there. If it's something that he's going to use one day. So he said to us, I remember he said, Sam's going to play on the right. I was already on the left, doesn't matter. And Leo, you're going to kind of play like a fake 9. I want you to drop. But in order for him to drop, Sam and I were always, we had to ask for the ball in behind. Something that people always talk about possession. Yeah, we wanted possession, but you need runs also to make sure that you can retain possession in midfield, especially if you were going to have Leo dropping and kind of having an overload in midfield. And in my mind, I was like, that doesn't change too much for me, because that's what I had to do most of the time, making those runs to free overs, because that's the way it was, and he worked out. We started the game being 1-0 down. 1-0 down, and he worked out, because on that goal that Leo gave me, that's exactly what happened. He was in a situation, he was in a position where they didn't know if they have to come and get him, but I'm running in behind, Sam was running on the other side, and he worked out. But he worked out also because you have players that understand and understood what the boss wanted. Quality was there also to execute it. But yeah, that's how we prepared it. It didn't change too much in terms of what we were doing at the back or in midfield, but that was the big change. I think when people saw Leo there and dropping a lot to play almost at the top of the making it a diamond, if you know what I mean. So you had Busi, you had Andres and Xavi. Then suddenly you have a diamond with 2 guys there making runs in between the fullback and the centre back. So you have 2 guys neutralizing 4 players. So therefore, when one drops, you're enjoying a diamonds against their 3. That's what he wanted to do, and it worked out.
I remember you drove Sergio Ramos so wild that he kicked you off the ball and tripped you up just to try and.
That's how I got injured in the first half, when he tripped me from behind, and I fell on my knee, and I knew something wrong happened, because I don't know if you remember. they were asking me if I want to go, not go, and I lasted a bit more. I actually, in a way, that injury stopped the end of my season, because after that, I didn't play. I just played the Champions League final. And Andres played the same way that I did play it. I couldn't even bend my knee. Then I've had maybe 5-6 training sessions before that, and after a month. But we were on a mission, so we didn't want to let that one go. But yeah, that game, I so wanted to stay on that field, because I think 6-2 was great, don't get me wrong, but I think that day it could have been way more.
By the Champions League final, I'm going to tell you that I spoke to both Neville and Darren Fletcher about that final. Fergie briefed them that you were too injured, you couldn't make it. Iniesta's too injured. They didn't expect either of you to play. But before the game, before that beautiful moment where you lift the trophy, the video, you're in Rome and you're called into the dressing room.
5 minutes before, we went back in. We went back in 5 minutes before, and all I'm saying is, I'm like, what? We don't know what was happening. We go inside. There's a screen. The boss asked us to stand in front of the screen, and we're basically waiting. And with the music of a gladiator, I think it was, if I'm not making any mistake, we see the whole journey to the final. Sad moment, good moment, struggles. Personal point of view, it was great, because I didn't know. The week I was trying to make the final of the Champions League, I was training alone when I don't know where they were. They played away, or I don't know where was the game. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. I was working out with the fitness coach, and he put that in. Me trying to come back, Andres trying to come back, guys leaving the field injured. Rafael Marquez against Chelsea, leaving the field. All those emotion. I think, you know what? It was so powerful. It was so powerful that I would say also that the first 5 minutes, it was too powerful. And they nearly scored. And then from that moment, that woke us up a bit. You know, sometimes when you like deal with emotion before a game, it can go both ways. But I think still it was amazing, because it was so powerful. I think that kind of made us a little, we can relax at one point. But then after that, the rest was amazing. But I thought still, I would say that was great from Pep.